Hey guys, welcome back to another WoW Weekly with Myst, and for this week we have Pirates Day will be today, also Brewfest, and that is going to run from September 20th to October 6th. The Fated Raid this week is Sanctum, Battlegrounds is the weekly, and the weekly PvP Brawl is a Wrathy Blizzard. Okay, so starting with some Dragonflight news. So we discovered a new mount this week. It is Lizzy the Thunderspine Trampler. And this is the mount right here. Looks pretty cute. This is going to be a quest chain. So basically out in Anaran Plains, you'll be doing all your quest objectives, your quest chain objectives like we always do. And one of them in the list is Initiate's Day Out. So you want to get up to that point. So you can just check your achievement, see if you've completed it. And if you have, you can start this. So the quest will start in Anari Springs. It will be called Sneaking Out. And it will introduce you to Windsage Initiate, Radia, and of course Lizzy is her Thunderspine pet. The quest chain is actually pretty quick. We're used to much longer quest chains, like a week to a month type stuff like that. This one is 5 days. So you'll have, this is kind of the list of stuff you'll need. So day 1, you'll need 20 fluid. This drops from the insects in Dragon Isles. Day 2, you'll need 10 high fiber leaf, which drops from plant mobs in Dragon Isles. On day 3, you're going to need 10 of the 1,000 bite piranhas. And you probably guessed at it, you fish it from Dragon Isles. And day 4, you'll need 20 woolly mountain pelts, and this drops from the mammoths in Anaran Plains. And then on day 5, you'll need 1 Maloon's green curry, which you can just purchase, and that will be in Anari Springs in a tent. The NPC's name is On Maloon. And then once you've done all those 5 days, you will just be issued a Lizzy. Okay, another thing we found out is the dungeon rotation for the first season when Dragonflight comes out. And this is partially why I've been uploading dungeons lately, and they're going to continue through this week as well. Now, some of the Dragonflight dungeons aren't in the mix, like Alderman is not in this mix. So they might be cycling out some actual Dragonflight dungeons. I was kind of surprised to not see Alderman in the mix, but the offensive dungeon is in there because that dungeon is a little time consuming with the travel, and yeah, so it's gonna be an interesting M+, that's for sure. So here's the list for Season 1. Ruby Life Pools, which I will be uploading that one tomorrow. So if you're interested in seeing that dungeon, if you haven't already, it's going to be on the channel tomorrow. And then any other dungeons that you see in this list that haven't been uploaded yet, they'll be uploaded this week. So we have Ruby Life Pools, Algathar Academy, the Noked Offensive, Azir Vault, and that is the 4 Dragonflight dungeons. Then we have 2 Legion dungeons, which is Court of Stars and question mark on the second one. And then we have a question mark on a WoD dungeon. And then the mop dungeon will be Temple of Jade Serpent. As for the dungeon list, I think this list is great. I'm happy to see Ruby Life Pools in there because that's currently my favorite Dragonflight dungeon. And Court of Stars is pretty good. And Jade Serpent, I can't think of a better Mista Pandaria dungeon to pop into this dungeon rotation. Jade Serpent is not only a great one normally, but it's good M plus wise, because you don't want something that's people are gonna hate doing M plus, and I feel like Jade Serpent isn't really that dungeon where you dread, on M plus. So, and it'll be interesting to see how it works on an M plus, because it's Mr. Pandaria, which we haven't yet experienced, because our current season right now is WoD and Legion dungeons. So this will be the first season of something even earlier than WoD. As far as those question mark Legion and WoD, I am just gonna guess that they're gonna do it similar to how they did it with the current season, and those are gonna be voted on. So I would expect a voting poll to be coming up probably semi soon, and when that does, I'll definitely let you know so that everyone can vote on their favorite Legion and WoD dungeon. So as for what I think the Mystery Legion and Mystery WoD dungeon should be, the Mystery Legion dungeon, I would love to see them put Maw of Souls in there. I really enjoy that dungeon, and I think that would be a really good one. The WoD Mystery Dungeon, tough one, because unpopular opinion here, but they put my two favorite WoD dungeons into this season. I know there's a lot of people probably not liking Grimrail right now, but Iron Docks and Grimrail are my two favorite WoD dungeons, and I never loved any other dungeons. Would I do them? Of course, yeah, they're okay. But these two were, I was actually pretty hyped when they got picked, and I know that's an unpopular opinion because a lot of people were kind of ticked when Grimrail got picked. Yeah. Okay, guys, so this is me throwing a quick last-minute edit into this part before I post this video. But it turns out they've chosen the Legion and the WoD Mystery Dungeon. And the Mystery Legion dungeon is Halls of Valor. And the Mystery WoD dungeon is Shadowmoon Burial Grounds. Shadowmoon Burial Grounds is pretty good, so nothing too major there. Halls of Valor, I don't know. I ran it a lot back then, so my opinion might be based off that. It's nice and short though, so I guess as long as your team runs it properly, there is a one boss that if mechanics aren't done properly, you'll literally never kill the boss, so yeah, I guess just as long as you have a group that knows what they're doing. Personally, I wouldn't have chosen those ones. Shadowmoon Burial isn't a bad choice, though. I have nothing really against that one, but I would totally preferred Maw of Souls for a Legion one. Here we have a blue post from Blizzard regarding the Chromie time rescaling. It basically goes over the fact that the level 60 has been unchanged, so they're not doing a squish. The overall goal is for player characters who are at level 60 today to log in at level 60 in Dragonflight with the same item level and approximately the same stats as they had before. Now, personally, I don't know why anyone would think they were doing a level squish. The reason the level squish happened in BFA is because we were level 120. I myself am not expecting another level squish until we are at least in the 3-digit numbers again. As long as we're in 2-digit numbers, I don't think they'd fucking do it. But maybe once we hit 100 again, and I think it would be above that because 100 is kind of like a cool level to have in a game. So I think it wouldn't be until whatever expansion after the 100 that they would start thinking about doing a rescale again. So, in other words, I think we're good for a while. Okay, next up, we're going to go over some new cosmetics in the game. So here's the Big Canuck Spare Ladle. the simple gold dragon goblet, the jeweled gold dragon goblet, and the simple silver dragon goblet, and the jeweled silver dragon goblet. I like these goblets. They remind me of... Is it Utgard Pinnacle? Where you had that quest to loot all the goblets and the, little shiny crystals on the ground. And yeah, I always loved that quest. Yeah. It was a pain back in the day before they kind of fixed it. Back in the day, they didn't really respawn for everyone in the group to be able to complete the quest. But nowadays, there's so much more in the dungeon that like all 5 people can complete their quest. Yeah. But that's what that reminds me of. Tuskar Ulu knife and the Tuskar clobbering board. Yeah, that looks like a fucking paddle. Stay away from the Tuskar clobbering board, guys. It looks dangerous. Okay, so some more transmogs. The Obsidian Dracthyr Battlegear Ensemble and Weapon Transmog. Okay, so here is a picture of the set here. And listed below, you can see that this one in particular is just the male armor set. But definitely a lot of cosmetics in there that you can collect. Okay, so there was a rather semi-long blue post on priests and the current state on them, and them not having access to silence in Dragonflight and all that. So I'm just posting it on the screen here. If you're a priest, feel free to pause and check it out. I wanted to highlight this one this week because it seemed to be the most info as far as like things that were going on. Priests definitely have a lot of stuff going on right now, whether it's them having it or them not having it. So if you main priest, you might want to read through these. There's also another rep in Dragonflight. It's with the Black Dragon factions. So in Dragonflight, you can swear allegiance to both Rathian and Sibelian, and most of the items are sold by both dragons, but some items are exclusive. So Rathian sells 2 exclusive items. One is the Armor of Endless Cloaks. So basically this drops a closet that players can access to gain random cloak effects. The closet lasts for 5 minutes. The item itself has a 15-minute cooldown, and the cloak buff lasts for 30 minutes. Some cloak appearances include well-remembered cloak effects like the legendary Myst of Pandaria cloaks and the legendary BFA cloak. It's funny because I carry both of those cloaks on me. Yeah, I love my legendary Myst of Pandaria cloak. The second exclusive item he sells is a pet, so it is the Obsidian Proto-Whelp. Sibelian has 2 exclusive items as well. One is the Obsidian Egg Clutch. So this toy will drop 3 black dragon eggs to the floor. They will eventually hatch into 3 mischievous dragons, Rowdy, Blitz, and Onion. The 3 dragons roam around the area and can be petted, which makes them grow enough petting and they will blow fire. The second item is the Ensemble Sibelian's Battlegear armor set. This is for cloth. So this is the Sibelian's Battlegear robe. And this is the tunic. The pants will look better. They're glitched in game right now, so like this is what they look like. But this picture should look better when you're actually in Dragonflight. As for items that are sold by both of these guys, we have the Dracthyr Battlegear Ensemble and Weapon Transmogs. And they also sell some dragon riding customizations, so gold and black armor, and black scales for all 4 dragon riding mounts. Also, there's the Great Gourmand of the Ruby Feast. So this is an achievement, and you can see in it, it says experience all of the dishes served at the Ruby Feast in Valdrakken. And these are all the feasts. So there is a lot of them, and they do have a lot of decent perks to them. Feel free to pause the screen, check it out. As for where can you find this feast, it is in the capital city, which is Valdrakken. Pretty easy to find. Just look for a red drake with a duck on its head. Pretty sure you can't not see that. Okay, so our next section of this video is dedicated to hunters. So we're gonna go over some other tames. I had mentioned a bunch last week, and some more have become available. So for the first time ever, we have ducks in the game. Why it took this long, I don't know. But they are tameable. I wasn't sure if they were gonna make the ducks tameable. I thought since it had been so long with no ducks in the game, they would just kinda have ducks there for viewing purposes only for Dragonflight, and then maybe make them tameable like in the next expansion. So I am pretty impressed that they're tameable right off the bat. I am totally gonna get my hunter to tame a duck, and I want that black and red one. Yeah, that black and red one is so adorable. Peafowls. Peafowls are super cute. Once again, I'll tame that black and red one. The black and red one's so cute. So this is one of the phoenixes that can be found in Dragonflight. And this is a tameable model, which I'm impressed. That's a really shiny tameable model, so very cool. And then we have the Wind Eagles. These guys are out in Anaran Plains. They are part of like the centaur culture, and they're pretty cute too. Next up, we have the Sliverns. So the Sliverns are they're fox-like, you know, foxes with wings, basically. And you can actually tame these by getting an item. So this item will be similar to other items you've gotten to tame models before. So this is the Tomb of the Hybrid Beast. Learn the secrets of taming feathermanes, a family that includes hippogriffs, griffins, owlcats, wolfhawks, and wyverns. That is very cool, and that covers your bases for quite a few things, so yeah. As for this item, how you get it and all that. Okay, so for most of us hunters, we have all the prerequisites, but if you are a hunter that doesn't have this one thing, it might be something you want to work on right now in game, and they've actually made it a lot easier to do as of Shadowlands. So, to get this item, you need your class mount, the Legion Hunter class mount. And to get that, you need to have a glorious campaign completed, which is complete your class order campaign. Because you need the hunter class mount, this does not matter if you have it on another character. You need to go through these steps on your hunter to get the quest for your class mount. So do that on your hunter. Breaching the tomb. Prior to Shadowlands, you had to do that achievement on every single character you wanted the class mount on. But in Shadowlands, they changed that, and it's as long as you have it on one character, it applies. So that's the part that has made this a ton easier, because it was very time consuming back then. Here's a post that I did on Instagram back in Legion, and I did all those class mounts in Legion, and I'll tell you, It was a lot of work. I had to do breaching the tomb on every single one of those characters, and it took so long to complete that. But in Legion, that was my goal. I wanted every single class mount before the expansion ended. So yeah, but now it's a lot easier. You just need the achievement on one character. So if one of your characters has the class mount, you're good. And then you are gonna go get Knight of the Wilds, which is your quest for your class mount. For this one, it's at Deliverance Point, so you'll grab the quest there. And just do all the steps to get your Wolf Hawk. Now, as far as class quests, I thought this one was one of the best ones they did in Legion, just because of how it was, like, I guess you are watching Mist of Darkness, but I really enjoyed this because it was dark. It was this darkness. You had like all these beautiful sounds of like the woods in the dark, and yeah, it just was really nice. And the one thing I really enjoyed about Legion class mounts was how they changed colors. Most of them anyway. I won't say all of them. Obviously, Druid form, for one, they don't really classify it as a mount, right? It's a form. But pretty much all the castable mounts, they all had different colors based on the spec you were in using them. And I really liked that. Yeah, I have to say that was the most unique I ever saw them with mounts, was when they did the Legion class mounts. And I don't wish for another batch of class mounts. I think they did it perfectly in Legion, and it should be left like that to keep it unique. But I'd love to see them do something else unique that stands out like the Legion class mounts did. So anyway, sidetracked a bit there, but that is what you need in order to purchase this item. And as far as purchasing it, it's super easy. You get it from your class hall, and it'll be Pen the Kind Hand in True Shot Lodge, and it's only 1,000 order resources, so super easy to pick up. And the last batch of tameable mobs is the otters, beavers, and flower porcupines. So this is the Autucks, and these guys can be tamed. Here is some beaver tames. And then this is the flowering crystal spines. And that's basically the Dragonflight stuff. One last thing I thought we would do before ending on the Dragonflight news is things that are going away. So things that maybe you should be working on in Shadowlands right now if you want to get them before they vanish. So I think it goes without saying, the first one is Jigglesworth. Yeah, so here's Jigglesworth. This is why every week since it started, I'm telling you what Fated Raids is the weekly. This is why. It's for you guys that are still going after this. And all you have to do is do it on normal. And then just get yourself in the raids. You do have to kill every boss. There's also heroic for the title. And then if you're a crazy person, you can do mythic for portals. Portals were never something I cared about. I'm not going to torture myself through mythic just to get some portals I'm never going to use. The second thing you might want to go after is the Carcinized Zareth Steed. This is the mount that you get on heroic difficulty for killing the jailer. This is an AOTC mount. There's always one at the end of every expansion that goes away for good. So this is one that will go away. And while we're saying stuff of going away, Zigglesworth works the same way. If you don't get those faded raids done on at least normal before the expansion ends, Jigglesworth is leaving. So, yeah. So these are 2 mounts that are going to exit the game. The next one is an achievement. It's called We Are All Made of Stars. Basically, what you do is it involves the Ragalon fight, which is in Sepulture of the first ones. This is available on both non-faded and faded raids. And to get the achievement, you're going to be under the effects of Herald of the Cosmo. Everyone must stay alive throughout the encounter, or else the raid fails. You can reset and all that. I have been told by people that this is a tough one because of the fact that everyone has to stay alive. Dodge whatever you gotta dodge, and healers keep healing and just try to keep everyone alive. Veil Strider is the biggest thing people are probably working on right now. The most time consumption. Honestly, if you want to do it, start it now, because there is one achievement in there in particular that has to do with your covenants, and if that is not started, you probably won't make it. And not only would you have to start it now, but you would have to focus every day until the cutoff, more or less. So definitely do that. If you're not prepared to get your characters into every covenant, then I would just say fuck it. But I'm not gonna sweet talk this and say, oh, you're good, you'll get it. Like, if you don't start this right away, you will not get this achievement. Okay, so next up, what is going away when the pre-patch hits? Basically just any Season 4 stuff. So your mount from Mythics, your stuff from PvP, the reward for doing 20s. With every expansion, there are mounts that are pretty much 100%. And those are the mounts that make us mount farmers farming 1% mounts, right? So one of those mounts is Vengeance Rings. You will want to go defeat Sylvanas in Sanctum of Domination on Mythic difficulty. So this mount is not going away, but it will become 1%. So yeah, right now is your best chance at it dropping and you possibly getting it. And then, of course, the other one is the Fractal Cipher of the Zereth Overseer mount. This is the jailer kill on Mythic difficulty. So you would want to go into Sepulture on Mythic. Okay, so some newly discovered toys. So first we have the toy that lets you become a harpy chef. So here's the toy here. Professor Chirpinsnide's Impeccable Harpy Disguise. Quite the lengthy name of a toy. And this is one of the side quest lines for the achievement Sojourno of Thaldrassus. You'll basically help the goblin, Harleen Chirpinsnide, and her Dracthyr assistant, Sagalia, deal with a harpy attack and, just, continue through that quest line, and then you will eventually get the toy. Rumor is that you also, on top of getting the toy after doing this quest chain, you will also get a customization for your Highland Drake, which is one of the dragon riding mounts. Now, another toy discovered is the Floral Bouquet toy. This has to do with another love quest line. There is definitely a couple of them in here because it was just last week that I went over another quest line that had, some people in love. This one has to do with the centaur. And yes, it is a same-sex type of love thing. I think Blizzard is trying to prove to us that they're accepting to that. They seem to be doing more than enough of that in the game lately. So you'll do a quest chain for these two. And at the end of that quest chain, you'll get the lover's bouquet. And this is a toy. You can throw it to a friend and they catch it. It's got a 5-minute cooldown on it. The quest to look out for this is called After My Own Heart. And own is spelled O-H-N because, Anaran Plains. And one last toy I'd like to go over in today's video is the Seed of Renewed Souls. For those that watch, most of my videos, you already know about this one. I posted it this weekend. And so basically this is the toy we've been waiting for. This answers our questions about what happens to our shapeshifts that you get as Night Fae. And so basically how the toy works is any character can use it. If you never went after any soul shapes on that particular character, you'll be a Vulpin using the toy. If you're on a character that went after soul shapes, you'll be on whatever soul shapes you set on your NPCs. So you know how right now, if you want a certain critter, you go set it to that and then the other soul shape you set. So you will still need to do that. If you want to change up your soul shape, you'll need to go back to your covenant on that character and change it. As for the Vulpin, that's the default. You don't even need your covenant for that. Like that's just the default if you don't have other shapes. Flicker will not be part of it. This is just cosmetic. And yeah, that's basically that's all you really need to know of the toy. It's pretty basic. So that will be available through a quest. Super easy. You do nothing really. You take the quest, you hand it in. Like it takes less than 5 seconds to complete. That's you hand it in to the same person you're standing in front of. So yeah, you just instantly get the toy. The toy has a 10-minute duration on it, and the cooldown is 5 minutes, which I think's perfect. That's a more or less what the cooldown is right now, I believe. So I was pretty happy with that toy. My plan is I don't want to keep going back to my covenant to swap out. So I'm just going to try to be happy with the two. It's just a toy. My intention, me personally, I didn't even care if a toy existed, I liked collecting them in Shadowlands, and I was kind of okay with whatever happened with that, right? So it's cool that there's a toy there, but I don't want to keep going back to swap. So I'm just gonna make sure that I have the critter I want and the normal shapeshift that I want. And then I'm probably never gonna go back and change it because once Shadowlands is done, I'm kind of done with that. Yeah, I'm not even sure how often I'd use that toy, Maybe on a character that, I don't know, without Flicker being on it. Flicker was kind of the biggest reason I liked the soul shape because you had that extra speed. So without Flicker being there, I don't think I'd really use it that much. But I do think it's cool that they did give us a toy. Also, one thing I found out, and I found this one out by reading the fine print of another article that had nothing to do with this, but the Fated Raids, as we know, eventually there will be a time where they all become available. I know when that is now. And that is when the pre-patch drops. So once the pre-patch drops, which we have no date for yet, but once it does, all the Shadowlands raids will become faded, and they're going to be faded for the rest of the expansion. So this is like a pro, but a negative at the same time, I guess, because like the pro is that you would, if you're going after the mount or whatever, like you don't have to wait for, the cycle to, complete. Right now 1 week it's one thing, another, like you could just go spam it all in 1 week if you wanted. But the bad part is if you wanted to actually run it on like a heroic or mythic and non-faded, you can't. Everything will be faded at that point. So take it as you will, I guess. Depends what kind of raider you are right now, if you're doing faded or whatnot. But that is when it will happen. So yeah. And I imagine we will hear a date soon for the pre-patch. The Dragonflight went from being in alpha to being in beta now. And, and they're practically just handing out keys now, which means they're pretty much ready. Yeah. Although it could also mean that they're trying to preoccupy you. Who knows? They could be ready, or they could be handing out keys to give you something to do to buy themselves some more time. Yeah, it could go either way. And speaking on that, for those that are in beta, you can make a 70 now. So yeah, I found that out this past week. I hopped in there and I'd been leveling my druid through Dragonflight, but I wasn't quite 70 yet. And then I saw that you could just create one, so that's what I did. I just created a 70. Because me personally, I don't feel like I need to level. In the beta, all I care about is testing some stuff out and showing you guys stuff. And I like doing the dungeons right now, so yeah, and at 70, I have access to all of them, right? So yeah, so that's what's going to be upcoming on the channel for this coming up week. Next up, we have the green Primalist themed transmog set. Now, I have gone over all the Primalist themed sets in a past video, but this one in particular is being rumored as a possible pre-patch event transmog. So we could get this before Dragonflight even launches. We don't have a release date yet on the pre-patch, but this could be a reward. So here's the one for cloth, leather, mail, and the plate set. These will require you to be at least a level 58, and the item level on them is 250. Okay, so skipping over to Classic. So this is the last week of the experience buff, so if you're looking to get some last minute levels in, definitely do that this week. The experience buff lasts until launch, and launch will be the next day you see a WoW Weekly, so which is Monday, for those that maybe are new here. So here's the global schedule. So as you can see, 3 p.m. Pacific time on September 26th. EU is like midnight, September 27th. So yeah, I'm not going to go over anything because I think most of us probably played Wrath. Wrath was the first expansion of casual. I'm never surprised when someone says they started in Wrath, because Wrath was kind of really when WoW entered the TV, basically. I'd just be sitting there watching like some sitcom on TV, and boom, there'd be a WoW commercial. And I remember being so surprised because gaming commercials weren't on TV back then, yeah. And And for that reason alone, I'm not surprised when someone says they started in Wrath, because they were actually advertising in a very mainstream place, you know, the television. Okay, so I know this video is getting a little on the long side. This is going to be a long video this week. But I just wanted to throw in a quick little opinion on this particular topic. So this past week, one of the discussions was whether Classic Cata should be next after Wrath. And I could easily make this its own video. I have so many opinions on this, but I'm going to try to make it quick and short so that we can have this particular news video be under an hour, or at least not much over. So as someone who has played the fuck out of Vanilla, BC, Wrath, and every following expansion, I'm gonna say no. No, I don't think Cata should be in Classic at all. I think the biggest appeal to Classic is Vanilla, BC, and Wrath. And even Wrath is kind of like cutting it close. I know a lot of people love Wrath. A lot of people are Wrath babies. And yeah, but Wrath is what started the cycle of what retail has turned into. It really honestly brought in the casuals, and in turn it became the expansion that led Blizzard to catering to casuals, right? So while I'm hyped to play it in Classic, I do believe it should be the end. There should be no more than the Vanilla BC Wrath, because as far as I'm concerned, the good version of WoW died when Wrath ended. Unfortunately, I think they're already working on Cata. I'm gonna be completely honest. I know a lot of people think that they care about your opinion and all that. I don't think they give a shit. They're just throwing a fucking poll out, and if they have to, they'll bullshit and say that most people wanted it. Like, I think no matter what, they're making it, because one thing I've been saying since the release of Classic WoW Vanilla is that this is going to turn into a new retail, right? I always said that this was a way they were going to recreate the cycle. And yeah, I think, I think that's what's going to happen. Although the whole Game Plus idea is a good idea, but I see a negative with that idea as well. And that is that some people just want the nostalgic, or to play how it was played, and Game Plus didn't exist then, right? Or however we're wording it, WoW Plus, whatever. I don't think everyone's gonna like that idea. I'd hate to be Blizzard, honestly, because people are gonna want Cata, people are not gonna want it, people are gonna want Game Plus, people are not gonna want it, and, I think you can only run on old content for so long. And I say that as someone who's literally been doing old content for years. But yeah, I feel like this expansion in retail actually kind of told me that I've been doing old content for way too long. And yeah, and I feel like eventually Classic's gonna be like that, where, it'll be a little different. But for example, in retail, I have not liked an expansion since Legion, and I've been doing a lot of old content for the past 4 years. Not that I didn't before, but like BFA and Shadowlands, I did over 50% of that time in old content. And it was really this expansion that I realized that because I've been playing for 18 years, and because I put a lot of hours into the game, And because I've disliked 4 years of the content and been doing the old content that I'd already played the fuck out of prior, there's not much I really want to do in the game anymore, you know? So I feel like Classic might go down that same path for people where they're spending a lot of time in Classic, and I think at some point they will feel like they need a Game Plus because you can, like I said, you can only run old content for so long. So that was a bit of a sidetrack, like I always do. I seem to always sidetrack. But point is I don't think there should be a classic Cata, but I don't think there's not gonna be. I fully believe they're already working on it, and they'll probably announce it next year. And yeah. Yeah, I guarantee you it's gonna be there. It's gonna be there because we are eventually gonna see every expansion sitting in Classic. I don't have a problem if they want to do that. There's probably a group of people that want to replay every expansion out there. But why don't they lock it to servers? Kind of like, you remember when we were walking into BC and then it asked you, do you want to bring your character over to BC servers or leave it in vanilla? They should have that for every single one. I get that might be a little busy on servers maybe, but that's the way to do it. You know, because then people have a choice. Like me, I actually wanted my druid to stay in BC. I wasn't even going to play Wrath at all. But the minute I logged in, I was already in Wrath content. And at that point, you just level, right? Because it only benefits you to stay behind an expansion if the max level's the same, right? But if it bumps you into the next one just because you logged in, then yeah, you're 10 levels behind at that point, you know? So yeah. Anyway, that's my thoughts, and I don't think we shortened that at all. But trust me, we could have made it a hell of a lot longer. Okay, so that concludes the news. As far as my goals and accomplishments, last week I did mention some goals for Classic. I had wanted all 3 of my characters to be caught up. Last week I had gotten my Druid to 70, and it was just the Mage and the Death Knight remaining. And I actually slacked on my goal this week. I made that goal, and then literally the next 3 days, and I'm still shocked by this, but I did not want to game at all. Like, I had no desire to even power up a game. So, like, yeah, I totally didn't even game. I just edited videos. So I didn't hop into Classic again till like Friday. And since then I've been, doing some levels on the Mage, but I haven't been playing like a whole lot, just like maybe a few hours per day, which is very little for me. So not much has happened. I haven't logged on the Death Knight at all still, so we still only have that one day that I leveled from 55 to 61. And then last week my Druid was 63. She's now 65, so I only leveled her 2 levels. So I'm really hoping that I feel my game vibe for the rest of these days. I want to at least polish off the Mage, because she's got portals and stuff that might be useful for us. So I'd like to do that, and if I can stay committed, I think that could at least get done. I don't think the Death Knight's making it, though. The Death Knight is gonna, be kind of left in the dust, but not too much, The way I see it is we're fortunate to be able to even play the Death Knight already, so I'm already gonna feel ahead when it launches anyway, because, like, realistically, we're lucky to have even been able to create and level a Death Knight before it anyway. So yeah. And the Death Knight was never going to be, like, the main character of Lich King anyway. It was always going to be the Druid. So kind of the day the Druid got to 70 was kind of like accomplishment complete, more or less, right? All the other characters are bonus. And then as far as retail goes, I did hop into, like, knock out my mythic for the week. But aside from that, I haven't really been doing too much in retail because it's been in Dragonflight. So it's like I'm kind of in retail, but I've been focusing content in Dragonflight. So yeah, I've been doing a lot lately. I honestly, while I love the classic buff right now, I can't wait till Wrath actually releases. Not so that I can play it, but so that I don't have so much hype going on, because I don't want to leave Classic right now because of the experience buff, right? I'm more willing to kind of take a break from it once everything's back to normal and there's no perks, right? And then if we could just get, Dragonflight released, then I wouldn't have to be in beta doing those. So, yeah. So I'm just looking forward to one less hype thing, because right now I'm, trying to make sure my mythics are still done every week, and then I'm in the beta for Dragonflight, in the pre-patch for Dragonflight, for testing, of course. Doesn't exist yet. And then the classic. So yeah, it's just a lot of WoW going on right now. Like, I'm used to a lot of WoW, but I'm used to it being one client, and right now it's 4 different clients I'm logging into. So yeah. And one thing I just wanted to add into this video is, I know there's been some talk of pre-patch stuff. We do not have a date yet, which I've also mentioned in this video. But I'd just like to say, start working on this stuff, because when they pop out that date, you're not going to have a lot of time. They are going to do it last minute. I have a feeling you're going to have like a week. A week, maybe 2 at max. Like, it's going to be so last minute. And as a little guide, I'll tell you what I think it's going to be. And I'm usually pretty good at estimating these dates. I've had some practice over the years. So I personally think it's the end of October. I think that's when we're going to have the pre-patch. They're going to want to get the hype of Classic Wrath a little over with, and then they'll probably tell us the date, and then from there it'll be, yeah. So I would say between mid to end October, and I'm estimating that we'll see the actual Dragonflight launch at the end of November. So that's the guideline to go off of. So anything you want to do before pre-patch, aim for having it done by mid-October. Early is always better than late. And yeah, that is what I would put the aim for. Things that you want to do before Shadowlands Ends, you can put a longer aim on that, like November. So yeah. And just as a reminder, the only things going away for pre-patch is Season 4 stuff. So it would just be M+ and some PvP stuff if you're working on that. Like, nothing major is vanishing upon pre-patch. The main stuff is going away when Dragonflight actually launches. Okay, guys, so that concludes today's episode of WoW Weekly with Myst. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're having fun in WoW or whatever game you're playing. And yeah, that's the end of the video. So we will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.